Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all my wonderful and beautiful little subscribers out there. Oh, moment. There we are. Sorry, please and thank you, my delicious babies. And I hope that you're all super duper well and we feeling the love because I hope that we continue to feel the love. Okay, my delicious babies, I remembered to turn the lights on today. Now then, my delicious babies, what's the time, Mr. Wolf? So it's 3:15 in our old afternoon, my delicious babies, in our old Brummy land, in our old England. And, well, the sun has got his hat on. Hip, 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 hooray. Okay? So there's no sleet, there's no snow. Okay? It's a little bit chilly. So even though it's sun shining, it's still a bit chilly. The zazums have been playing a part. Okay, my delicious babies. And there's a little bit of wind. But other than that, it's fun, Dabby Dursey. Okay, my delicious babies. So let's try and get my lights on, shall I? Come on. Come on, little babies. I must get some, I must get some other lights. Oh, hang on, nearly. Oh, come on, we haven't party. Hold on. There we go. Just have to figgle about with the button, that's all, my delicious babies. We soon get there in the end. Okay, my delicious babies now then. So what have I got for you today, my delicious babies? I actually wasn't going to put out a video, as it so happens, my delicious babies. I really wasn't, because I thought, what mood am I in? You know what I mean, my delicious babies, okay? And I thought I'll put one out. Okay, my delicious babies. It just depends what mood I'm in. If I'm in a narky mood, then the answer's no. If I'm in an alright mood or a good mood, then the answer's yes. Okay, my delicious babies. Sometimes I'm not easy, Do you know what I mean? Okay. I think you know what it is. When you get used to being on your own and living on your own for years and everything, my delicious babies, you become a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? The best way to explain it, you become rather selfish. I actually feel that I am selfish, my delicious babies. I'm not going to say, okay, how can I say it? Say if I was in a super duper delicious and beautiful relationship, okay? Which, of course, there we are, one day I shall be. And we will equally love one another most deliciously and wonderfully. But, I never ever say sorry for being selfish. I just like to do things my way. I see nothing wrong with that. Do you see what I mean, my delicious babies? And well, the thing is, at this moment in time, it's not lack of physically, like someone here, to answer to. Not that I do anything, my delicious, but all Secure Horizons just gone up. Okay, my delicious babies, I've never seen them before. White and blue van, Secure Horizons. Okay, my delicious babies. So, getting back to the matter in hand, I do get distracted, but I'll tell you what, I cannot just keep saying it. I feel so super duper happy that I'm back in my room, Yeah, I've got my room back. Okay, my delicious babies, it's, you just don't know how it feels. Really, you just do not, my delicious babies, okay? Anyway, so it's that freedom, isn't it? Not in that way, not in that way. Like, it's just that freedom. Do you know what I'm saying? Yes. So, for myself, no, I'll never say sorry. For being selfish. I think it's a good way. There we are. I think it's a good way, actually. You do hear that, don't you, my delicious babies, who want to say, "Oh, I'm not selfish." I do everything for everybody, but I'm not selfish. You know what I mean, my delicious babies? Well, I am. I help who I want to help. I certainly, if it's to do with soups, cakes, anything like this now then, if I choose and somebody enjoys my soups and cakes, because not everybody's, let's just say, into the vegetarian kind, and I happen to make a lot of cauliflower and broccoli soups, okay? But there's a lot of, there we are, ingredients that go into these soups. It's not just, bish bash bong. Where did we hear that, my delicious babies, and job done now. Takes time, you see. Do you know what I mean? My delicious babies. And yeah, so, I'm good to others, I'm kind to others. I certainly bring the bins in for everyone, my delicious babies, my neighbours, so I can be very kind. I can be extremely kind, my delicious babies, but do I say that I am selfless? No, I'm certainly not that, my delicious babies. I've spent too much time, over the decades on my own. And I'm just being honest to you, my delicious babies, on my own. And then, of course, you got the other side of the fence, haven't you? Where ones that get themselves all down. I mean, I'm not laughing about anybody getting down, you know what I mean, Martin? She's just basically all by myself. Blasting like a titty la. Do you know what I mean, Martin? Some just cannot cope with being on their own. I don't know what's making me, there we are, just say all this mad delicious babies, but it's true. I mean, there's some who are most family orientated. Do you see what I'm saying, mad delicious babies? But then you've got, some others where they're like myself, they're just, they're on their own and, you get on with it. You don't sit there and say, oh, well, I wish, no. Because what I enjoy, my delicious babies, I do enjoy, there we are, my peace and tranquility. I've gone through the days. Those were the days, my friend, we thought they'd never end. Bringing up me to daughters, blessed. Do you know what I mean? I've been through all of that. You also go through, let's just say, relationships that do not work as well, my delicious babies. It's no fault, as far as I'm concerned, it's no fault of anybody's. It's just you either get along, or you do not, you do not. But I personally wasn't prepared, and I'm just saying this, my delicious babies, I wasn't prepared like you hear some families, which I have, my delicious babies, over the decades, where they've said, oh yeah, but we're together because of the bands, I call them bands, they call them children, got to remember the Ren on the end, you know what I mean, my delicious babies. Because, we're together because of, do you see what I mean, okay? Or it's finances, ching, 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 you know what I mean? Or who's going to get the house and who gets booted out the house, my delicious babies, do you know what I mean? Well, for myself, I personally do not see that as a good enough reason to be in a relationship if you are not happy. Then, of course, you've got others where rather than be on their own, because that's what it is. My delicious babies, they're literally, if you can only imagine, imagine all the people, you know what I mean? If you can imagine how many I've spoke to over my decades, my delicious babies, rather than be on their own, they'd rather be in a, not meaning this in a nasty way, so I'm not going to come across too fresh, you know what I mean? But, they'd rather go without having a rumble in the jungle. You know what I'm talking about, my delicious baby, swinging off the old chandeliers and all that, you know what I mean? Showing one's talents. Okay, my delicious babies. And they'd rather, in many cases, be the ones doing all the cooking, the washing, the cleaning. Do you see what I'm saying? Well, what kind of life is that? And I've met, there we are, a lot. Okay? And for myself, no. No. It wasn't for myself. If you're in a relationship, it's 50-50. Do you know what I mean? What do I mean by that, my delicious babies? It means you share. You share together as a couple. Do you know what I mean? I could never in a million years, my delicious babies, lived like what ones are told myself over the decades. I actually asked them straight out, straight up. I said, well, why do you put up with it? Why do you sit and put up with this now? Do you sit to me? For myself, I find it really hard to understand when you leave home early, and you have to, there we are, find your own way, you know. But as you go along, ooh, I get by with a little help from my friends, you know what I mean? So if you're blessed to have a few friends or something, you know what I mean, who can help you along, you know. But I could never have lived the lives that others have told me about. No, not a chance. No, you know. And I always say as well, if you're in a relationship and you truly, for one reason or another, and you truly just, you know, I don't know, maybe you're just not a loving who you're with, or for whatever reason, that is not a good enough reason to stay. You know, when I split up with my ex, of course, I'd never. Do you understand what I mean? I mean, it's been many, many, many years, mad little baby, since we've broken up. Okay, for ourselves as a couple at the time, there we are, mad little babies. It's the best thing to ever happen. Do you know what I mean? So it was really good for myself. May not have a pot to pee in, but at least I could put the key in the front door. You know what I mean? And just get on with what I needed to get on with, which was my life. Bringing up to younger little baby daughters. Do you understand what I mean? Okay, don't get me wrong. Their dad, there we are, has been absolutely fantastic. They've got the most fantastic dad. Not in that way, not in that way. The most fantastic dad going. There we are. They genuinely have, and he loves them so very, 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 very much. Do you understand what I mean? There's nothing that he wouldn't do for our daughters, bless. Okay, but he and I as a couple, no, just never worked. It just wouldn't work. I mean, I've got to be honest, Martin, with babies. I mean, he did say to me, I'm going back many, 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 many years ago now. He said I would have 11. He'd have a full football team of babies with myself. That's the truth, Martin, babies. Can I just please and thank you? I've got orange juice, grapefruit, and ginger in here, Martin, babies. The coffee's getting better, but it's just a little bit niggly. Please and thank you. And one big swig. Anyway, my delicious babies, yeah, it just gets a little bit niggly. Anyway, but the room's rather, sorry, excuse me, rather warm. So, which I'm not complaining about, but sometimes I suppose the heat, that doesn't help either when you've got a, bit of a niggly cough. Anyway, my delicious little babies. So, yeah. So he would have had a football. I said no. I said no, thank you. Two babies were enough for myself. Do you understand what I mean, mad little babies? But yeah, some relationships work and some do not. But I actually, some would call it a brave move. There we are. I've just got brave move. Okay. Others would say, oh, do you know what I mean? Oh, I can't be on my own. Oh, I can't be on my own. Do you understand what I mean? Like, no. When you say, enough is enough, I can't go on, I can't go on no more now. Enough is enough. You know what I mean? That's why it is. Martin, baby, that's how it rocks and rolls. You know what I mean? What's the point in lying to yourself? But that's the thing, isn't it, my delicious babies? This has gone on for decades, hasn't it? Like even where marriages, had every, let's just say, opportunity to work, but ones were either paired together. For some, they probably liked each other at the beginning. That is a bonus. Do you know what I mean? But, maybe for other families over the decades, maybe it wasn't quite as easy as all of that. Do you understand what I mean, Martin? There's lots of different circumstances anyway. But I've spoke to, there we are, put it this way, a lot, there we are, a lot in my decades. And no, I believe in As far as I'm concerned, there we are. Just being happy in yourself. Do you understand? There we are, and that's far more important. Do you know what I mean? So if that is classed as selfish, there we are to some, then that's classed as selfish. Me personally, I see nothing selfish about that at all. You know what I mean? But sometimes you go into situations, where you know what I mean, but not knowing at the time that it really wasn't right for you. Do you understand what I'm saying, Martin? You know what I'm saying, don't you? I hope you're getting what I'm saying, Martin. But no, I mean, one, like I say, one of the good things that came out of my relationship with my ex was of course, was our two beautiful daughters. That so there's always something good that comes out, isn't there? But I just wasn't prepared to spend the next, score years, you know what I mean, being unhappy. I, Me personally, I do not believe anybody should be that, ever. And I've met, there we are, in my lifetime, and I'm still young, I've met too many. And it's sad, really, because for them, their life is ticking away. I've spoke to there we are, so many you wouldn't believe. And I say to them, I said, but don't you realise that your life is just ticking away? Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. And they say, but, oh, I can go without the, like say the romantic, what I'm talking about. I can go without that side of things. I can go, just to, well, no. I mean, if I was to meet my forever, which, like I said, I shall be meeting my forever. But no, you cannot, and especially being young, you cannot live in what I call a loveless relationship, or because you've got to have that. There we are. You've got to have that closeness. You've got to have. There we are. In my view, it's not the be all and everything. No, but you've got to have that closeness, and that's, there we are, super duper important, especially to myself. So if you do not have that, then no go. Do you know what I mean, mad delicious babies? This is why I say some just, go through the motions. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, something's just, there we are. Something's just made me say all that mad delicious little babies, you know what I mean? But if you hear of one's getting divorced, I mean, bless my, how I love her so, my beautiful dear mama bear, my dear dad, bless him, they got divorced when I was very young. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Although, my dad would never, ever in a million years ever say a bad word against my beautiful little mummy bear. And I'm going to be honest with you, my beautiful little mummy bear would never say a bad word against my dear dad. That's just how there was. You know what I mean? But they split up, still used to talk to each other. Do you understand what I mean? It's just that they just weren't any good in a relationship, very sadly. Do you know what I mean? But nobody can sit there and say, like I've heard this over, I've got to just say this actually whilst I'm on huddle. Nobody can say over the decades that, oh, well, if you come from a broken family, because that's what they call it, don't they? Oh, you come from a broken family. Okay, if you come from a broken family, I call it divorce family, just be done with it. They broke up and that's it. Simple things, right? Well, the fact of the matter is that, when you grow up, you're going to end up that way, or, there's going to be a brother or a sister or whatever, who's going to end up. But that's not always the case at all. Not all relationships are what some would call as doomed. Do you understand what I mean? So, what is it that I'm saying? What's the point to what I'm just been saying, my delicious babies? I believe that when you live your life once, okay, please do not get me wrong, I'm a firm believer that when you when we, sorry, rather, which of course, anybody watching my videos will be in decades to come, that we reach where we're going to be reaching. I still believe there we are that we live on. You know what I mean? But I just believe that if you're here, you should find a way to be happy as well, not be in a relationship with somebody where they knew what you were like when you met them, they knew what they were like when they met them. There we are, I'm just done saying it. You know what I mean? There's no flowers on myself, figure of speech. I just say it. So yeah, so if I was in a relationship, no, yes, you have to have that closeness. That is, there we are, first and foremost for myself. You have to be able to love them to your heart, truly to your heart. And you have to be able to have a fantastic conversations, and you also have to, there we are, equally put each other on a, there we are, on a pedestal. Yes, you should. That is my belief anyway. And when I looked at my beautiful, how I love them so, my beautiful dear little nanny and granddad, well, they had, there we are, that relationship. When I look at, looking back at my beautiful dear little nanny and granddad bears families, that, they're all couples, married, there was so, they used to laugh together as a couple, they used to cook together. They used to do the veg, do everything together. One used to wash, one used to dry. If they felt that mummy bear needed a bit of a break, you know what I mean, then they'd be doing it around the house, or they'd do the cooking or the baking or whatever else. You know what I mean? And life was there we are, so very much more different. But I was truly, truly, truly blessed, my delicious babies, and I will say that, hand on my heart, to be able to have the most beautiful nana and granddad, there we are, that I could possibly be blessed to have. Do you see what I mean? Okay. And of course, for ones these days, they'd look at couples like my beautiful dear little nana and granddad, and they would have said to themselves, oh, I so wish that I, could have had that relationship. Do you see what I mean? Okay. But that's where I do find that times have very much changed. There we are. My delicious babies. Do you see what I mean? Okay, I'm not going to say for everybody. Of course I'm not. I would never do that. You know what I mean? But that would be ideally what I would be looking for. But you must remember that through different years and different decades, you change, don't you? So when you're younger, you're not really, so to speak, really knowing what you want. There we are. You do not really know what you want. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes? And then, of course, and it goes in decades, doesn't it? So, how you feel in your, say, when you're 20, you would feel differently. Not for everybody, but you would feel differently in your 30s. Do you see what I mean? And from 30 to 40. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes, okay. So one's change all the time, and it's up and a down and around the bend. It's like a flipping roller coaster. Do you know what I mean? Okay, I'm out to the little babies, but something has just, there we are, just made me say all that today. But no, I'm not putting down my ex, no. No, I'm not. He's a fantastic Papa Bear to our little baby bears. So he really, really is. Okay. And nobody can ever take that away from any of them. And I never, ever, ever in a million years, I never would. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay. But I just live life that I feel, there we are, peaceful and quiet. You know what I mean? I have a good laugh when I listen to a lot of videos. Though there's always something really, really, really funny to laugh about. To little babies. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I'm flipping howling. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes, but that's the beauty. You can get up. You can walk out into nature. You can go for a little walk and do different things. So at the end of the day, you know when I look at my life right now, okay, would I want to swap it for having a massive super duper family where it's just, you just haven't got 5 minutes to yourself? No. I'm just not made that way. And, believe it or not, I have had neighbours, beautiful, dear, like the Syrian neighbours and everything, right? But they say, oh, but you're on your own, you're on your own. They used to worry about me. I said, please don't worry about me. Because I'm actually right now, as I'm sitting here speaking in my camera to yourselves, my delicious babes, I'm actually there we are, where I'm meant to be. Do you know what I mean, my delicious babies? And that is the truth, hand on heart, that is the truth, you say. But it's beautiful that, others worry. Do you understand what I mean, okay? But but I really do not want them to worry. I'm very thankful. It's for them to even spare a thought for myself. But no, um, some are family orientated and some are not. And I don't know. I do not really feel I am really, to be honest. And really, I'm just not on the same song sheet with any of my family, really, and they're not on the same song sheet as myself. I mean, I have my beautiful, a dear little baby brother, bless him, and it's whoever gets there first in the morning, because he always sends me a beautiful message and quote, each and every day. But it's who gets there first. Sometimes I get there first, sometimes he does. You know what I mean? But we do not need to live in each other's pockets now. Speak once in the blue moon. That's it. That's fine for myself, and it's fine for himself. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes, and just be done with it. But I never sit there and say to myself, "Oh, I wish that I had, you know, um, a massive family around me." No, I'm just not made that way, Martlish baby. Maybe it's because I left home so young. There we are. Maybe that's what it is, my delicious little babies. Do you know what I mean? And it's really hard for others to understand that. It truly, truly, truly is, There's many who really found it extremely hard to understand myself. But as long as I understand myself, so that's not being rude or disrespectful to anybody who I know, ever. But as long as I understand myself, there we are, then I'm very content with that. Okay, my delicious baby. So that's really all I wanted to say to do with that situation, my delicious babies. Now then, so I've got two videos for you today, my delicious babies. But by the way, sorry, just before I come off that, I'm not talking about everybody, okay? So some like to be in large families and they're super duper deliciously happy. I know some fantastic families, okay, over my decades and even up to today, okay? Um, but some, that they do not like so many around them, so many family members or friends or mankind around them. Do you know what I mean? They just like to live quietly. Do you see what I mean? My little babies, but I never ever, and I repeat once more, I never ever say to myself, well, I'm selfish because I like to do my own thing. Not in that way, not in that way. I'm selfish because I like to do my own thing. No, there's nothing one bit selfish about that at all. And if any couples have got divorced over decades, I've known plenty myself. As much as I know plenty of beautiful families, I've also known it the other way. Well, really, it doesn't seem it at the time, Mads, little babies. There we are, but it's actually a blessing. That's why I see it. You know what I mean? So you can say, "Oh, I'm really sorry to hear, of your loss." I don't mean that nasty, bad, vicious, but you sort of say it like that because I suppose you're in mourning. For some couples, they're in mourning, aren't they? That's what I suppose you call it. Because you're all depressed, aren't you? You've got to find your own identity again. You've got to get back to who you used to be. Well, of course, you'd never be how you used to be because you then become somebody else, don't you? Do you see what I'm saying? There we are. Do you see what I'm saying, Martin? Baby? So I suppose there's 101 emotions. So I suppose in a way, for some, it is like a form of mourning. Because somebody was once part of your life. But like I said, if relationships really solely just do not work, then really, in the end, there we are, truly, for some couples, there we are, it is a blessing. It doesn't seem it at the time. Do you know what I mean? Because it's very rare that you get two, couple, okay, where it's amicable. Okay, usually you have one who's, you know, doing all the arguing or whatever, running their flipping traps off, you know what I mean? And you got the other one, saying, oh, and all this, you know what I mean? But it's very rare you get to where it's amicable, where the couple's amicable. Do you know what I mean? Mards and Shtick babies. So if you get that, well, that's a blessing. It is a blessing, isn't it, Mards and Shtick babies? You know what I mean? It's a blessing because you're free. There we are. This is my thoughts on it. Because you're blessed, there we are, to go meet somebody who's going to love you to their heart, who's going to cherish you, cherish the love we have. Do you know what I mean, Martin? But I'm being serious. And somebody's, there we are, who's going to love you for you. But why waste your time in a relationship where it's emotionless, it's talkless, you've got absolutely zero in common. When each other gets undressed, it's like, oh, gosh, have I really got to look at this? You know what I mean? Okay? I don't mean it nasty, Martin, babies, okay? But when you, I suppose, do not find anybody attractive anymore, whatever, okay? I'm not saying that somebody could have a horrible body. I'm just saying that you just do not feel that way. There's nothing on the earth that would ever change that. So, so maybe I'm coming across in my camera, Martin babies, as being rather raw. But there we are. But I just get to the point, there we are, of what I've got to say. And that is truly what I've had to say. And I'm not going to take anything back. So I'm pretty sure, there we are, there'll be somebody out there, there we are, where they will get where I'm talking about. Whereas you'd have somebody else who's been married for whatever o'clock, 40, 50 years, which I do know. You know what I mean? And they're still super duper, there we are, deliciously happy to this day, but you've got others where they're clearly not. Do you see what I mean? And I personally feel that the worst ones that I've ever come across, and this is the truth, my artistic babies, the worst ones I've ever come across, and I have, is when they got divorced in their later years. I mean, they class it as the later years because they're like nearly 60 or whatever. Well, that's still young in my view. But when they've been married 30, 40 years, I suppose that's a bit of a peer. Do you understand what I mean? Okay, because there's I suppose for many there's a lot more involved in it. Do you know what I'm saying? Yes, but at the end of the day, there we are. What had to be done, there we are, has had to be done. That's it. It's like there used to be a stigma. I remember decades ago. Then I'm going to totally come off this subject. Decades ago, there used to be a stigma, whereas unless you had, what do they call it, 2x4, right? Which means, mummy, daddy, little brother and sister, or sister and sister, or brother and brother, or, sometimes you have three, or sometimes you have four little bands, okay, sisters and brothers. But the thing is, it's like you look like so wonderful, you know what I mean? If you've still got your mummy and daddy together and everything looks all hunky dory, tickety boo to the outside world, you know what I mean, Marty babies? So there used to be a lot of that. So I actually knew decades ago when some, bless them, for myself, I would just say it even from a young age. I say, oh no, my daddy and my mummy they broke up, and I would just say it. You know what I mean? Somebody asked me, I would just say, you know what I mean? Well, what is there not to say? You just say it, because as anyone knows, with little bands, they'll say, "Oh, where's your mummy? Where's your daddy?" It's just a question that bands ask. Well, that's as I remember it decades ago. Okay. But I actually knew bands, okay, and even at school and everything, when you go, through the years, decades ago, okay, or say if you was playing out with somebody or something, and they would be embarrassed, you know, to say that their mummy and daddy had broken up. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay. And some, even to this day, there we are, they still feel that way, you know, to say it. Do you understand what I mean? I do not understand that part. And then, of course, I've also come across in my decades where the bands have just not forgiven, whether they haven't forgiven uh, their daddy or whether they have not forgiven them mummy for the breakup. So there we are. I've come across. There we are. I've come across that as well. My delicious little babies. Do you know what I mean? It's like one just gets a constant blame. Well, it shouldn't be that way. As I always say, it's ding ding dong dong common sense. If you break up, there we are. There's clearly a reason why. Why? Do you see what I mean? Okay, if it's not rocking and rolling, you know, if all the wheels are not turning, well, it's just not turning, is it? Pointless making oneself miserable. Anyway, that's the end of that, Martin. Something's just, there we are, made me say, there we are, everything what I just said. But for myself, no. I'm where right now in my life, there we are, where I'm supposed to be. There we are, and there's a reason for that. Do you see what I mean? Okay. But yeah, I'll meet my forever. There we are, forever. Yes, I will. But and it has to be. It's got to be perfect. Well, or as near as, in my view. Okay, my delicious babies. That's just the way I see life. Why waste your time meeting somebody who you know that you're not going to stay with? It just doesn't make any sense to myself, my delicious little babies. Do you know what I mean? I'd rather stay on my own. There we are. I'd be hunky dory tickety boo with that. I've got my beautiful little Maisie Moo, got my beautiful little Ruby Tuesday. So what's the point in wasting my time? And anyway, I'm not interested. Do you understand what I mean, my delicious babies? Not interested in all that. Do you know what I'm saying? Not at this point in my life, no. You know what I mean? Anyway, of course it will change. When it's meant to change, there we are. You see what I mean, my delicious babies? Anyway, quickly speed through this. So this is a case study. So I'm going to give you the upload, okay? Right, this uploader happens to have 6.68 thousand subscribers, my delicious little babies, okay? And this uploader is called, how are you saying it? Snacky. Oh, I'm going to have to spell all this out for you, my delicious babies. This is uploader now. All spaces, capital S, Snacky. Nacky, and then space, grape, capital GRAPE, then a space, capital P, is it Pika or Pika? Oh, capital P, IKA, and then a space, capital M, mirror. Okay, so I'll just repeat this again. Unless it's snacky, grape. Snacky, grape, pika, mirror. If I've said it wrong, my apologies. Anyway, with anybody not in that way. And, you know, I do this as a hobby. So, you know, but if I've got it wrong, I apologise to the uploader. Now, this video here is just over 26 minutes long, my delicious little babies, okay? And, right, this video should read 1960s psychiatric case study. 6-year-old boy who is afraid of school. This is the one I was telling you about that I wanted to tell you about, my delicious babies. Disordered Mind series. Okay, my delicious babies. So I'm just going to repeat that again for you, shall I? 1960s psychiatric case study. 6-year-old boy who is afraid of school. Disordered Mind series. Yes, my delicious babies. So just very briefly, just to tell you this, because only one other video, and then I'm going to be over and out. What's this about? So this is a little boy. So I can only assume. I mean, I'm not too sure whether he's got any other little siblings, but this is a little boy now then who really does not like school. Okay, Mads little baby. This is in black and white, so that it's not a colour video. Well, it seems that his mummy and daddy just do not know what to do with him. Okay, but he much prefers to be at home. Okay, they tried the firm discipline, and that never worked either. Okay, but why am I mentioning this? I'm going to mention the other one now, the final one. Okay, there we are. There's a reason why I'm doing this, my delicious little babies. I never do anything for no reason. Once there we are, I should know that with myself. Okay, so that's the first one. It's very interesting. If you're looking at it from the point of a little bairn, do you see what I'm saying? Yes, okay. Now, of course, in both cases, with the mummies and daddies, well, which of course I feel in any situation like this as well would put a strain on the relationship of the mummies and daddies involved. Okay, so the final video, okay, you just have to see what your thoughts are. Should anybody happen to have any form of an interest, please, and thank you, my delicious babies. The final one, this uploader happens to have 409,000 subscribers, my delicious little babies, okay? And this is called Capital P. This is the uploader, Psychedelics, okay? I'll spell it for you. PSYCHEDELICS. Psychedelics. Okay, my delicious babies. This video's over 20 minutes long. So they're not long videos, my delicious babies, not long videos at all. And this video should read, aggressive child. Again, the word child. Same as children. Okay. 1960s psychiatric case study. Okay, my delicious babies, now we're going to close our book. All's ticked off and we need to go back to where we need to go back to. All my lights have gone off. We haven't party. So I'll just quickly tell you. So, this young 6-year-old, very quickly now, because time is ticking. This 6-year-old, not meaning against you, my delicious babies. Anyway, there's very few, but thank you. For who does put a like and who does watch my videos, my delicious little baby, whoever you are. Not in that way, clearly, but thank you, okay? Because it is very clear to myself that I am being completely shadow banned. There we are, from everywhere. To do with YouTube. Okay, my delicious little babies. Anyway, not to worry. There'll always be somebody seeing and there'll always be somebody hearing. Okay. So thank you. I love you so. Now then, so this little 6-year-old bear now then, is very aggressive to other little bairns at school, pushing them out the way. Just being actually extremely naughty. Okay, my little babies. Now, I do believe it seemed in this particular video, okay, oh, sorry, pardon me, excuse me, that he's the only little bear. Okay, so his mummy and daddy's only got him. Okay. The way his mama bear was talking, she clearly said she never wanted any more. I presume, of her own son. Okay, my delicious little babies. And she said, it makes one feel, like you're a failure. That's how she speaks, my delicious little babies, okay? But looking at that one in particular, okay, so out the two videos, okay, looking at this one that I'm discussing with you now, my delicious little babies, that it appears to myself, just watching the video alone, without looking at any comments, that, and I only looked at one. I was too busy trying to get my video out now to listen to babies. Anyway, the point is, it was very clear to myself that maybe the mummy and daddy, maybe they never came from maybe with their upbringing where maybe they was not very much loved themselves. There we are themselves, okay? Because what was very telling was when the psychiatrist was talking to the little 6-year-old Ben, the psychiatrist said, "Well, I love you, and that words to effect, I love you, and I want you to get better. I want to help you." And the little Ben said, "You love me." Well, that was to myself very telling. I do not mean it in that way, Martin, little babies, nothing like that, okay? But it appears to myself, and this little Ben, he never wanted to stop. He certainly did not want to stop Martin, little babies, his bullying. He was quite happy. The questions that, the psychiatrist was asking this little Ben, okay, he was quite happy when he said, "Well, do you want words to effect?" So I do not remember it. Anyway, I know I've watched it, but you know what I mean. He's quite happy to continue on his merry little way, this little 6-year-old Ben. But what is going on at home? Because you see, if his father, his daddy bear, cannot control him, and his mummy bear cannot control him, well, there's clearly an issue, isn't there? Because I know with myself and my sister, when we were growing up, well, basically, we only had to have my dear dad raise his voice, or me beautiful mama bear, bless. I love them so, but they only had to raise their voice. You know what I mean? And you knew about it. Do you know what I mean? So for these two different cases here, but you had to ask yourself, where is the aggression, there we are, coming from with the 6-year-old who clearly likes to go around bullying others? Where has it come from? It stemmed from somewhere, hasn't it? And the most interesting thing in all this is that both of these little bands, which you usually do find large little babies, are usually, okay, very intelligent. There we are. Okay, large little babies. You're not looking at two little bands, these case studies, where they're not intelligent. They know exactly, there we are, how to play the game. You only have to sit and watch the video. Please and thank you. Just a little bit of time out of one's day or night, should anybody happen to have any form of an interest. But it was also very interesting to do with the first video that I mentioned. Okay? Where, was it that one, or was it the second video? One of the teachers was smoking a cigarette. Okay? I mean, you'd look at the videos and you'd be telling yourself, well, is this effing real? Do you know what I mean, Martin, little babies? But honestly, and the naughty 6-year-old, his mummy bear was not happy for the fact that a teacher contacted her and not what she called, what we would call a head teacher. Okay, Martin, so she wasn't happy about that. I know that one of the mothers, I think it's her, that one with a naughty little Ben, where she said, he's been told too many things from all different. It was either that one, it's got to be that one, or it's got to be the other one, the first video. But there was also talk with one of these mummy bears now, to do with, they feel that there's too many teachers talking to the bands and there's too much. Do you see what I mean? It's very important to really listen to these two videos, but like I said, they're not long videos. So what do I mean by that without being nasty? It's not like you're sitting through a video, there we are, for hours upon hours upon hours. Do you know what I mean? Although there are videos that I personally can listen to for hours upon hours upon hours, but not everybody can. Not everybody, whether they're busy in their home life, family life, whatever it may be. There could be a number of different reasons, working or whatever else. But not everybody has that, there we are, attention span. Do you see what I mean? To be able to sit down and just watch a video, okay? But it's very important. But I mean, that was, there we are, the 1960s. You know, I think in one of the comments, what was it in one of the comments? Because I didn't look at a lot, because like I said, I need to get my video out now to Little Babies, and then sometimes it uploads pretty quickly, but for most it takes hours upon hours upon hours, my to Little Babies. So what's the point I'm making? Well, there's clearly issues then, but in one of the comments it said, you know, psychiatrist, something to words to effect, you know, you need more sort of psychiatrists like that one. Do you see what I mean? Okay. But the thing is, does really any young bairn, unless there are what I would really say exceptional circumstances, I should imagine it would have to be most exceptional, okay? Need a psychiatrist. Me personally, my personal thoughts is none of them little lads needed a psychiatrist, okay? They're clearly explaining something, quite obviously. The first one, never liked school. The second one seems to have an aggression. It's clearly an inner aggression, that his only way of getting it out is to be aggressive to those around him. Okay? But as with any situation like that, if it is not nipped in, there we are, in the bud when it should be, it means that when they grow up, they become a most, there we are, serious problem in the world. Do you see what I'm saying, my delicious babies? And that's how I'm going to leave my video. So, wherever you are in the world, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, please have a super duper delicious time. You only get one life, my little honey bunnies. Sending peace, love, harmony, and bright blessings to each and every one of you. And may your beautiful little selves and your beautiful little families, there we are, may you all be fully protected. And how I love you so, you're super duper wonderful, super duper delicious, and I love you. Okay, my delicious babies. So until my next video, you just please take care of yourselves now. Please try to take care of others, because we are in a bonkers, crackers, and crazy world. Okay, my delicious babies. So love you. Thank you once again for listening. Goodbye.